All right. Any of you that have been saying, why doesn't he ever kind of mix it up and make it different and interesting? There, that just kind of silenced you a little bit, didn't it? I wanted to do something dramatic to open this premiere, to highlight the transformation, the miraculous transformation of this Singer 15125 that arrived to this workshop just in horrible destructive state. The balance wheel had been shattered. A number of things had been broken off of the machine. It was whacked so hard it was just knocked on a whack horribly. So it really is exciting to have it at a point now where it's ready to do some sew-offs. And I figured what better timing than right after Easter, where there's so much of a celebration of new hope, new beginnings, and the miraculous resurrection, if you will, of this just destroyed Singer 15125, almost to a point of being beyond repair. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust this camera angle a little bit, and we'll see if we can jump into some sew-offs on this machine. Also, I wanted to point out as well that this machine is going to have a lot of common ground between the Singer 1591. As a matter of fact, the 1591 is going to, you're going to be pretty much, if you have an owner's manual for the 1591, you're going to be able to do pretty much everything you need to do on this 15125. The needle has to be orientated the same way with the flat side to the left. You're going to thread it from right to left, and even the bobbins are going to have that same class 15 style as well. So really kind of a neat balance between those two machines. And yet there are differences too, and I'm going to cover that in another video, talking about this 15125 kind of as a 1591 on steroids. And I won't go into that in great detail right now. I'll just say that I think you'll enjoy that video premiere as well. So I'm going to zip down some sew-offs on this machine. I'm going to kind of come in a little bit on the shot, and you're going to be able to see as well that I've got a very cool walking foot set up on this machine right now. Walking feet really do make a difference when it comes to sewing heavy grade materials. And it's interesting, when I choose the different materials to sew on machines for sew-offs, I usually will include leather, and I've always done that. I've done that from the very beginning. And yet recently I received some sharp criticism from some folks from the UK that said, why are you doing that on those machines? Why are you always sewing leather? Well, number one, when you sew on leather, it presents a stitch in a way that is unmatched by any other material. The richness of the leather, the grain, and everything else just really make those stitches pop and really give it a look that is unmatched by practically anything else out there. So that's one of the reasons I do it, but it's also a strength demonstration. I can't tell you how many times I've been contacted by folks that have said, I've watched your videos, my 1591, my 201-2, my class 66, my FAF, my Bernina, my whatever, can't even come close to doing what your machine can do. And oftentimes those remarks are centered around a leather sew-off that I've done. It's critical, if you're going to be serious about restoring vintage sewing machines, that you put your money where your mouth is and you show what your machines can do from a leather sewing standpoint. The piercing threshold on leather is unique to any other material. And if your machines aren't being shown being able to tackle that, and many of my customers will tackle that every single day, making handbags, making gloves, making gun holsters. It's not a one-off thing, as my friends from the UK tried to suggest. It's an everyday thing. And it's a machine that I've painstakingly restored so that it has the capacity to do that. It doesn't matter whether that machine was born with the label of household sewing machine or family sewing machine, it's absolutely irrelevant when you take that machine to the surgical restorative level that I do, because that machine emerges from the ashes like a phoenix and is able to do things even that machines leaving the factory of the same make and model could not, would not, will never be able to do. So that's why I do what I do. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I think it's something that all of you out there on this channel, on Facebook, love seeing. It really does put the proof in the pudding as far as what my machines are able to do compared to other machines of the same make and model, and I'm going to keep on doing it as long as I do this. Okay? So that's probably my only rant during this video, but I had to say it. So let's get down to the needle, and I'm going to do some sew-offs involving leather, and then we're going to jump into I'm going to share something from a book that I also have that came with this machine, and also a development with this machine as well. You know what? I better talk about the development now or I'll forget. So you remember this machine was shipped from Illinois. I received two machines almost at exactly the same time. One came from Illinois, one came from out east. One was packed using my methods. It arrived perfect. This one was packed the way the owner wanted to send it, and it arrived in shambles. You remember that. Broken balance wheel, the bobbin winding assembly was snapped off. It was just a mess. And there were a lot of other internal things that I discovered as well as a result of that serious impact that this machine sustained without being protected properly. So this machine has gone through a major renovation, resurrection, restoration, lots of R's there, folks, and it made a heck of a difference. But what I can say to you is this, that when it comes to my machines, please don't contact me and say, I see another 15125 on Craigslist, on YouTube, I saw it on eBay, I saw it wherever, and I'm so excited because it's going to be able to do what your 15125 did in that video. Don't say that. My machines are in a different class. They can do things that other machines around the world can't do, and don't go down the road of trying to compare apples and oranges. Okay? That's my second rant. All right. So this is a cool walking foot. I'm going to zoom in on this and we'll do a little bit of sewing, okay? And I promise I won't rant anytime immediately. Maybe. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is sew down some genuine cowhide leather. You can see that in the camera. We've got two layers, probably about 10 to 12 ounces, I would say, of genuine cowhide. I'm going to slide it underneath the presser foot. Try to line those guys up a little bit. And I'm going to lower this presser foot down with this cool walking foot. And let's see what this Singer 125 can do. So just give me a second here, folks. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I'm probably going to take my big clod hopper off so I can actually get my foot on this Bakelite style foot control. These were never designed for big feet, and certainly not big clod hoppers. These were designed for delicate feet, which I do not have. So, all right. So 2 layers of this incredible cowhide. Very tough stuff to get through, but I think this 15125 is going to get the job done very, very easily. Here we go. Well, that was one toe on the foot control anyway. All right. Let me go ahead and give this a clip, and we'll take just a quick little glimpse at these stitches, which, by the way, look really, really good, really phenomenal. So here we've got probably around 12 ounces of leather. The stitch quality is absolutely spectacular. The spacing, the formation, everything about that stitch on this genuine cowhide is just spectacular. And if you look at it from the side again, there's nothing lightweight about this sew off at all. And I will say for the record again that this is not a one-off. If you have a machine that's been restored by me, this one in particular, this 15125, and you want to do leather goods at home and sew leather every single day, 7 days a week, you can do it on this machine after I've gotten done with it. There's our lock stitch. I've really got to pull it back. Again, the grain and the nap of this leather really masks how that stitch presents on the lock, but it's just absolutely spectacular. Just a wonderful representation of what a machine, when it's properly restored, can do when it comes to leather sewing. So I'm going to throw this to the side, and what I'm going to do now is sew down 2 layers of vegetable tan leather now. And I think I presented this vegetable tan leather to you before. I've got to kind of bend it back a little bit. This stuff's really, it's not quite as supple as a cowhide. It's got a little bit more of a rigidity to it, which tells you even more. It's going to be a challenge to try to get through this stuff. You can see it from the side. This is going to be a little bit thicker than the cowhide that we just did. It's probably closer to 14 ounces of vegetable tan leather. Let me get it underneath the presser foot, and we'll see if we can zip down this as well. Oh boy. Yeah, you can tell the thickness factor when you try to get it into position underneath this walking foot. It tells you right away, hey, wait a second, that's thicker than the last stuff you stuck underneath. Okay, so here we go. About 14 ounces of vegetable tan leather, 2 layers of it, and I'm going to try to get my toe on this Bakelite. If you could see it, I'm not joking. I literally am putting my big toe, because my foot just doesn't fit on this if I take my shoe off, and I can't stitch off using this foot controller effectively with my shoe on. So I've got a pickle. You know what I mean? So all right. So here we go. Vegetable tan leather. So unbelievably easy, you know? It's so unbelievably easy for this Singer 1591 after I got done with it. And let me say again that don't believe any more than if you went to a used car lot and you looked at 2 cars of the same make and model that they're going to perform exactly the same. They've been maintained differently, they've been treated differently, their maintenance schedules most likely are different, and they're not going to do exactly the same as that other car. They're all different. The same thing with sewing machines. If you get a 15125 off of Craigslist that has been sold to you by someone that doesn't know anything about sewing machines at all, they don't know the history, they don't know how it's been maintained, they haven't done anything to it other than maybe wipe it off with some wax, then you don't know what you're getting. You don't. And you can't expect it to perform at the same level of one of my machines that I've gone through so painstakingly. And you can see that. The evidence is not my words. The evidence is what happens down at the needle. That stitch is absolutely spot on. The spacing, the formation, everything about it is just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And it's because of what I've done to get this machine ready for this presentation on this premiere. You know, Walt Disney, when he was involved intimately in hiring people to work at his parks, until he got, you know, the place got so big and so busy, he couldn't do as much of that as he wanted to do anymore. But when he would interview these potential employees, he would end the interview almost every single time by saying, if you don't remember anything else, once you join this organization, remember 2 words: showtime. And that's the same way I look at it when I prepare for one of these premieres. I need to go and do all the preparation so that I'm ready to put on this show, this presentation of this 15125, so that it gets the job done, so that when it gets done, you're like standing up, clapping in your front room, in your office, saying, that is amazing, that is phenomenal. And that's my goal. I want to show you what a properly restored machine is capable of doing. And that's my goal every single time. Showtime, showtime, showtime. And there it is again, another great example of 2 layers of vegetable tan leather. And it's absolutely, what? Amazing. Now I'm going to take a break away from the leather and zip down and do a little bit of my favorite. You're already saying it, I hear ya. My favorite U.S. Army grade canvas. I love this stuff, I really do. It does a phenomenal job of presenting the stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and zip down and show you again just how gorgeous this 15125 stitches. Amazing. Do a little bit of a turn. I think we'll race back. I want to race back with this machine. I want to show you that it's got a lot of power in reserve to get the job done. If I can get my foot on the pedal, that is. Now, Donna, for you, on that one instance, I left the needle down. All right, let's do it again. Turn it on the side and we'll square it off. All right. Let me bring this around and I'll show you these stitches as well on this U.S. Army grade canvas. Just a spectacular job. You know, to go from being busted in pieces and have things just knocked out of alignment by a poor packing job on the part of the customer that sent me this machine. And I'm not trying to be mean. Don't get the impression I'm trying to get mean. I'm trying to point out that knowledge is power, and if you use it, it's powerful. If you don't, then it doesn't matter. And now we've got a machine that just does a spectacular job of stitching. The formation, the presentation of the stitch, the spacing, the continuous predictability of this machine now, and being able to deliver a stitch that is spectacular is a given. It's something you can count on each and every time now. It's not a one-off. It's not something you have to say, well, I wonder how it's going to do this time. And I know some of you are in situations where you have sewing machines where you wonder every time you sit down to it, well, how's it going to do this time? Is the tension going to be on? Is the tension going to be off? Am I going to get missed stitches? Is it going to be able to have the piercing capacity to get through those multiple layers of quilt batting? Am I going to be able to get through that leather that I need to get through to finish this product that my family depends on as a means of generating extra money? You never know sometimes, but when you get one of my machines, you know. You just know. And look at that. This U.S. Army grade canvas is absolutely a perfect representation of what a perfect stitch should look like. Again. All right. I've got more stuff that I could sew off. You know what? I'm not going to do this piece of leather right here. I will do some suede leather. I'll just kind of zip down and we'll wrap it up as far as the stitch off on that. And then I want to give you an update on something with regard to this machine, and also read something to you as well that came with a book that's associated with this machine too. All right, so here we go. Oh, leather suede, by the way. Not even an effort. Not even, what? Leather suede is not easy stuff to sew, folks. If you've sewn it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you add that suede factor to the leather, it really makes it tough to get through it. And especially to have the consistency in the stitch presentation that you're seeing right here. It's just unbelievable. If we turn it over, we've got an absolutely gorgeous lock stitch as well on this leather suede. You know, we've done leather suede. We've done U.S. Army grade canvas. We've done this vegetable tan leather. We've done this genuine cowhide. The pile could keep going and going and going. And it's not going to matter. You can sew this type of grade material and this heavy grade material all day long with one of my machines, whether it's this 15125, whether it's a Pfaff, whether it's a Husqvarna, it doesn't matter. And that's the difference. That's the difference why, if you want to take on sewing as a serious trade, if you want to jump into it and maybe even start a home-based business where you can make extra money for your family or for yourself, get one of my machines. It's a no-brainer. It just is. Because no other machine in the world is going to deliver like this, or like this, or like this, or like that. It just is. So, all right. So let me get my shoe back on, and I want to read something to you from this book that is associated with this 15125. I found this pretty fascinating. All right, and there's the book right there. Let me come out just a little bit. I'm not going to come fully out, because I want to just keep this incredible 15125 in the camera shot, so you can, just be reminded about the journey that we took with this machine, the changes and the renaissance that I had to bring to this machine so that we could get to this point today where we could say showtime and deliver as we just delivered. It's amazing. Amazing. It's so much fun. So much fun to be able to take a machine that looks hopeless and helpless and give it a new start. So this is the book that I want to read from right here. And I'm going to keep this machine in the limelight right now. I don't care about you seeing me right now, other than my hands and my book. But right in the beginning of this book, in the preface, I found this to be fascinating. Here's the book that I'm reading from, by the way. I don't know if you can read that in the camera. It says Student's Manual of Machine Sewing Singer. And this is a book as good of condition as it appears, other than this little water stain mark on the back. This book is actually dated on the inside. Where is the date? I'm looking for the date. Give me a second here. 1914 is what this book is from. They actually printed this book from 1914 all the way to 1935. And this is one of the first editions that this book was printed. So let me read this preface to you. I think this is insightful. It says, "The great aim in education is to equip the scholar for his or her future career. To the girl interested in household economics, the sewing machine offers wonderful possibilities. The mission of this booklet is to instruct her regarding the care and operation of the family sewing machine to obtain best results. A large part of the family income is usually spent by the woman, and her knowledge of how to plan and make proper clothing for the family has great influence on the purchasing power of the income. By making garments at home, it is possible to provide wearing apparel for herself and for those for whom she must provide at a cost that will not only be keeping with her purse, but will give great satisfaction and pleasure to the wearer. Success in home sewing depends greatly on the ability to use to the fullest extent the modern sewing machine and its various attachments. The cost of material for making a garment is usually 1/2 to 1/3 of the amount asked for a similar one ready-made." Well, that's not entirely true anymore. Material has gone up in many places along with patterns, but depending on the type of name brand garment you buy, maybe that still would apply. So the styles of today can easily be followed, and with the help of charts that are furnished with many of the patterns, the cutting is very simple. The modern electric sewing machine takes away all the labor of stitching by using the attachments furnished with it. I'm not sure if that's true either. I know that sewing is still a labor even with attachments, but okay. Fashion touches may very quickly be added without previous preparation. When one considers that the stitching for a garment may be done very quickly and entirely without effort, not sure if that's accurate either, on the electric sewing machine, it is no wonder the woman of today is becoming more and more interested in home sewing. Okay. All right, take that with a grain of salt, and don't be offended. I don't necessarily endorse that point of view any more than I would endorse the point of view on this poster that was sent to me by a friend by the name of Laurel. And I don't know if you can read that in the camera or not. You probably can if you widen your screen. But this one came from 1949, and I know a number of you have seen this in some of the older Singer sewing machine manuals. But this one also is kind of a hoot as you read it about the perception of a woman and perception of her role and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, and to some extent, the men were driving these pieces back then, and sometimes were, in my opinion, a little bit manipulative about what they would say and how they would try to form the perfect woman in their eyes to get this job done. So this one reads, advice from a 1949 Singer sewing machine manual. Prepare yourself mentally for sewing. Think about what you are going to do. Never approach sewing with a sigh or lackadaisically. Good results are difficult when indifference dominates. Never try to sew with a sink full of dirty dishes or beds unmade. When there are urgent housekeeping chores, do these first so that your mind is free to enjoy your sewing. When you sew, make yourself as attractive as possible. Put on a clean dress. Keep a little bag of French chalk near your sewing machine to dust your fingers at intervals. Have your hair in order, powder and lipstick put on. If you are constantly fearful that a visitor might drop in or your husband will come home and you will not look neatly put together, you will never, I added that, enjoy your sewing. Oh man, oh boy, I can hear it, I can hear you. I do not heartily endorse that point of view either, obviously. So, a quick update on this Singer 15125. After going through all the steps that needed to be gone through to get this machine back to where it needed to be, even with that miracle you witnessed in the other video where, remember I covered those busted pieces with the buckram, and then miraculously after we got done doing sew-offs on Jackie Miller's FOF 332, those parts were like the phoenix again coming out of the ashes. They were renewed, they were revitalized, they were basically brand new. Even with that little miraculous miracle help, there was a lot of work that had to go into this machine to get it back into line again after it went through that serious damage. And when I talked to the customer about the expense, they graciously said, we're going to pass on that. We're going to bow out at this point. Just go ahead and hang on to the machine and consider that your payment for your efforts. So the announcement to all of you that are watching this premiere video right now is that this Singer 15125 is now available for sale. So if you have an interest in this machine, again, I would describe this as a Singer 1591 on steroids. This machine, because of its engineering, because of the rugged design of it from the inside out, and especially coupled with this very, very powerful walking foot that I have on it as well, you're going to be able to do stuff with this 15125 that you may struggle to even do with one of my 1591s. This is also a direct drive potted motored machine, But again, because of the way it was made and engineered, and especially after I got done with it, it's going to do things that even some of my 1591s might struggle with. And the sew-offs you saw in this video are just a small representation of what you can expect to be able to do with this machine. If you're looking for heavy duty, if you're looking for a continuous leather sewing type machine, this is a go-to machine for you right now. So contact me if you have a serious interest in wanting to take steps forward in making this machine your own. Okay, so that's the big announcement. That's kind of a twist that doesn't come up very often. Most customers I deal with are ready and willing to invest in that machine to get it back to where it needs to be, to preserve it. Some folks, when the rubber hits the road and it takes an unexpected turn like this, where they didn't follow my recommendations on packing it, as a result there was a lot of extra cost involved in getting it back to this point, then all of a sudden their commitment to that investment diminishes. And that's fine. You know, I'm not going to beat them up over it. It is what it is. But now it's an opportunity, you know, that can be realized for you if you're looking for a machine just like this. And if you've been contemplating a Singer 1591, this is, again, a 1591 on steroids. So you'll want to seriously reach out quickly and express an interest in it, and you can make this machine your own. It's a fabulous machine, it really is. And again, I just want to say that doing what I do is not work, it's a pleasure. And even as I got that news, I just continued to plug on this machine without any hesitation, not knowing whether or not it would end up going into my personal collection or whether or not somebody would reach out and say, you know what, that's exactly the machine I've been looking for. So regardless of which way it goes, I'm good. This machine is exactly as it should be again. It is ready and roaring to go. It is ready to get the job done, and it could be yours. So thanks so much for watching this premiere. Hope you folks had a wonderful Easter, and God bless you.